Have you ever had that strange feeling that you changed something just by looking at it? Well, today we're diving into a story where that idea is front and center. It's a case where the very act of observation isn't just how the crime gets solved. It might be what caused the crime in the first place. Let's get into it. So our story kicks off with this line from the lead detective. And right away, you know this is different. The problem wasn't a lack of witnesses. It was that there were too many. Think about that. 7 different people, 7 different sets of expectations, had already laid their own version of reality over the scene before the real investigation could even start. And that really sets the stage for our whole mystery. This entire case is built on the idea of looking, of observation. It's not so much about what happened, but about how what happened was seen. I mean, just look at the clues here. They're weird, almost poetic, right? The victim, Aurel Vaskin, is a sound engineer. He's found on his back, his finger pointing directly at a framed picture of a sound wave. And get this, a recorder has been running the entire time, for 96 straight hours, capturing audio long after he died. Every single clue seems to be pointing at things you can't see, at sound, and the act of paying attention. Okay, so to unravel a puzzle this strange, the department calls in a specialist. Her name is Detective Shal Meran, and she has let's just say, a very unique and frankly a very dangerous talent. So her whole deal is basically a human-sized version of the observer effect. Her attention isn't just passive, it's an active force. When she zeroes in on a suspect, her own gut feelings, her expectations about whether they're guilty or innocent, can actually influence them. It can shape them into the person she expects them to be. So you see the problem, right? She doesn't just find the truth. Her attention helps create it. And that question, right there, is the thing that haunts her. It's her constant dilemma with every single case she works. Is she just uncovering something that was already there? Or is her investigation actually a form of construction? This case is about to push that question to its absolute breaking point. So, just as Shal is trying to get a handle on her own effect on the case, a new complication drops in. Turns out she isn't the only one with a special kind of focus. There's another observer who's been looking at all of this. And this is him, Renner Cass, an independent researcher. His ability is the total opposite of Shal's. It's like a mirror image. Where her attention shapes reality, his clarifies it. When he looks at someone, it just strips away all the performance, all the lies, and reveals who they truly are underneath. So now you've got these two powerful, opposing forces pointed at the exact same mystery. The case basically becomes a negotiation between their two realities. And this leads them to a really wild theory about how Vaskin died. They start to think it wasn't a murder at all. It was a feedback loop. See, Vaskin, this expert sound engineer, was observing some kind of bizarre sound, but the sound seemed to be observing him right back. So his intense focus made the sound's response even stronger, which in turn made him focus even harder. This loop just kept spiraling inward, getting more and more intense, until the whole system, just Vaskin and the sound, had to resolve. And that resolution was fatal. This crazy theory forces the whole investigation to move to the source of that recording, a place that isn't just some spot on a map, but something else entirely, something much stranger. This is how a documentary director who'd worked with Vaskin described the place. Not that it was quiet or that it had cool acoustics, but that the air itself felt dense with listening. Can you imagine that? As if attention was a physical property of the place, like humidity? So this is the truth of it. The valley isn't just a backdrop for the story. The valley is an observer. It pays attention. And when someone with an incredibly powerful, trained attention like Vaskin shows up and starts listening, well, the valley listens back, and you get a feedback loop. And all of this brings us to the final, crucial piece of the puzzle. It answers the one question that's left. Why did this kill Vaskin, but not our two detectives when they went there? The difference, it turns out, is this. Vaskin was alone. All that massive observational energy from the valley had nowhere to go but straight into him, amplifying inside his own system until it just collapsed. But Shal and Cass, together, they formed a circuit. Her formative shaping attention and his clarifying, revealing attention created a stable loop. The resonance didn't collapse inward, it circulated between them, and that didn't lead to collapse, it led to expansion, to a deeper understanding. So in the end, there was no murderer. Aral Voskin's death was a systemic failure. You could say he was a solo instrument trying to play a piece of music written for a duet. The system needed two observers to be stable, and he was only one. It was an incomplete circuit. This whole thing takes us way beyond just a murder case. It gets to this really core philosophical idea. Maybe the goal isn't to find some kind of pure truth that's untouched by us looking at it. Maybe truth isn't something we find, but a process we take part in, an honest relationship between the one looking and the thing being looked at. Which, of course, leaves us with one last question to chew on. If our attention, our expectations, our very act of looking helps to shape the world around us, what kind of world and what kind of truth is your attention bringing into being right now?